best friend stole my engagement ring, but the truth came out at her own wedding. My name is Isabel, and for nearly 12 years, I believed my best friend Vanessa would always stand beside me. We met during our first week of college, shared apartments after graduation, and celebrated every major milestone together. She knew every dream I had, and I trusted her more than almost anyone. When my boyfriend Lucas proposed with a beautiful vintage engagement ring that had belonged to his grandmother, I couldn't stop smiling. The ring wasn't priceless because of its diamonds. It was priceless because of the memories attached to it. Lucas's grandmother had worn it for over 40 years before passing it down, and she told me she couldn't wait to see it stay in the family for another generation. A few weeks after the proposal, Vanessa invited me to her apartment for dinner. We cooked together, laughed about old memories, and spent hours planning my wedding while washing dishes. Removed my engagement ring and placed it beside the kitchen sink because the soap kept making it slip from my finger. When we finished cleaning, I reached for the ring, but it was gone. We searched every cabinet, checked the drain, and even emptied the trash, but nothing appeared. Vanessa hugged me while I cried and insisted we would somehow find it. The following day, Lucas reported the missing ring to the police, but without evidence, there was little anyone could do. His grandmother comforted me and said people mattered more than jewelry, but I could still see the sadness in her eyes. Month passed, and although Lucas and I eventually married with a simple replacement ring, I never completely stopped wondering where the original had gone. Almost 2 years later, Vanessa announced her engagement to her longtime boyfriend Aaron. I happily accepted the wedding invitation because despite everything, I still considered her my closest friend. On the wedding day, I noticed a familiar sparkle on Vanessa's right hand. My heart skipped a beat because the ring looked exactly like the one I had lost. I tried convincing myself it couldn't possibly be the same, but when she raised her glass for a toast, I saw the tiny floral engraving inside the band, the exact engraving Lucas's grandmother had shown me years earlier. I quietly asked Vanessa where she had found the ring. She laughed nervously and claimed Aaron had purchased it from an antique jewelry shop, but her voice shook as she answered. I decided not to create a scene and returned to my table. During the reception, Aaron's grandmother admired the ring and asked to examine it more closely. Vanessa hesitated before reluctantly handing it over. The older woman immediately pointed to the engraving and asked why another family's initials were inside the band. The room fell silent. Lucas stood beside me and quietly confirmed that the initials belonged to his grandparents. Aaron looked completely confused and asked Vanessa to explain. She burst into tears and finally admitted she had secretly taken the ring from the kitchen sink because she had always envied my relationship and believed I didn't deserve something so meaningful. She hid it for months before pretending she had discovered it through a private collector. Every guest stared in disbelief as the truth unraveled. Aaron quietly removed his wedding band before the reception had even ended and walked away without saying another word. The police reopened the original theft report, and Vanessa later accepted responsibility for the theft rather than forcing everyone through a long trial. A few weeks later, the engagement ring was finally returned to Lucas's grandmother. She held it in both hands with tears in her eyes, saying she never expected to see it again. Lucas placed the ring back into a small wooden box where it belonged, and we decided it would stay there until one day we could pass it to our future daughter. Vanessa sent me several apology letters over the following months, admitting jealousy had slowly poisoned the friendship we once shared. But some betrayals leave scars that apologies cannot erase. I never answered, because I had already found the closure I needed. The ring came home, but the friendship did not. And I learned that the people closest to your heart sometimes have the greatest opportunity to hurt you. Yet the truth has a way of waiting patiently until the moment it can no longer be hidden. And when it finally appears, no lie is strong enough to send it back into the shadows.